personally for me, when I was growing up, in a Tongan culture and in a Tongan background and stuff, it's that culture, that communication is something that parents and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles lack in teaching you. And it's funny because they teach you the whole social side of things with like fakafamilis, speaking in public and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
they teach you how to do that. But when it comes to speaking your needs and your wants and stuff like that, it's like it's like that. With saying that though, I don't hold that against my parents or hold that against my the people that raised me when I was growing up, because I feel like that's the way they were brought up and like that's all they know.
Yeah.
And so, with me, I'll be honest, I do catch myself doing it sometimes with my kids.
Yeah.
And I, sometimes I'll catch myself doing it where my daughter has something to say, especially my eldest, my teenager, she'll say something and I automatically have that ita, who the hell do you think you are? Like, speak like that. And then, sometimes I blow off and then I'll walk out and then I start thinking about it. And I'm like, frick, this is where this cycle needs to needs to cut out, because then sometimes I'll see certain traits in my daughter when we go out in public or at a social function, especially like with the food and stuff like that, where she's like, oh no, this is enough, or like, oh no, this is where she limits her, her potential. And sometimes it kicks me in the gut. So I'm like, frick, I'm doing this again and again. Like I'm just continuing on this cycle. And it is pretty hard cycle to like get out of, because I was raised and
that whole life.
Yeah, and it's like in the core, and sometimes you gotta sit back and reflect and be like, bro, I don't wanna, because me as a person, like when I was growing up, I used to hate that. I hate that feeling, like especially when we have like fakafamilis or something like that, and like it was just whatever dad said or whoever's the leader of the house there says it, and I guess it wasn't me being disrespected, it was just me being not agreeing. And it's really difficult, but I guess that's my challenge as a parent now, is trying to swim away from those I guess bad habits, you say, or that old cycle.
Yeah. Was there a point of time in your life that you spoke, that you had to speak up for yourself? And that really got, that was the first time for you to actually to speak for yourself, and it may have caused some conflict, but you just felt in your heart like, no, I have to speak up. Did you ever have an experience like that with your own family?
Yeah, I've many times, especially with mom. My dad, when I was growing up, like I think dad's as we got older, he became a bit more chill, and my dad's more about like as long as you're happy and you do you, like, but what mom is, she's more of a, no, I think my way is the best way, I think we need to do this way. And so I've had times where, it's funny though, because when I do speak up, I have to break down, like I fully cry and stuff. And the reason why I do this is because I feel bad, like that I'm speaking up, which is, now I think about it, it's actually a really bad thing to feel that way.
I know.
It makes me think as a parent, I'm like, bro, I never want the day where my kids, if they need to tell me something, they feel really bad for telling me.
Feel guilty.
Yeah, they feel guilty, yeah. But that's how I feel. And like I said, I don't hold it against my mom or my dad, but it's just what's installed in me. And it's like, it's a struggle for me to open up to them and tell them, oh, I'm not happy with this, or, I'm not happy with the littlest thing I'll talk about.
Yeah.
When I was in Fiji and I was growing up, my dad came to visit, and he came to watch, it was his first time ever watching a rugby game.
Yeah.
And he came from Australia, and he bought me these rugby boots. And at the time, these rugby boots were like the best rugby boots in Australia. Yeah. But you got to remember, when you play rugby in Australia, the grass is soft, eh? And so like when you come to Tonga, bro, you're basically running on cement. And so he brought these rugby shoes, and the studs were like, bro, they were like almost 3 inches long, man. Like You know, and like the soil in Tonga when you run on Fiji, sorry, when you run in that, it doesn't go into the ground. Like it just, it's like running on high heels, yeah. And so he bought it, and like it was his first rugby game, like to witness me playing and stuff. And so, you know, it was a pretty big game, and it was finals, and I got the shoes from him, and I was really thankful for the shoes, but I didn't want to wear it, you know. So it was, you know, I didn't want to
because it's hurt your feet. It
hurt my feet, and you know, and he's like he didn't force me to wear it, but he just came and he's like, oh, I bought you these shoes. You know, it's better you wear these shoes. You know, sometimes Islander parents do that, Tongan parents do that. They don't mean to like control you, but the stuff they say automatically shapes you and makes you like, because dad's like, oh, you know, these shoes are really expensive. I bought it in Australia, and like, these are the #1 shoes, and I think it'll look good on you. And then, you know, he'll say stuff like, go you know. And so I just automatically felt like I had to wear it. And so I played half of the game.
Yeah.
And bro, it was my legs were killing me. Like, I almost tapped over so many times because the thing wouldn't go inside the soil. And so at halftime, I swapped and I put the other shoes on. And Dad came up at halftime and he's like, why didn't you wear those shoes? And I was like, oh, you know, mama, you know, the comments like, Masi, oh, hell, I may shoe, you know, when you know, the cheap shoes or something like that. He's like, I want to get you these ones. I want to give you better stuff. And but I broke down to him and I was like, I cried on the sideline. I was like, I can't wear it. Like it's sore. But I had that feeling of like guilt. You know, it like automatically came up, and I was like, I'm sorry that I broke your heart, and I'm sorry that I'm not wearing your shoes. It's funny because I've never thought about this until you brought it up, and I was like, far out, man. This is, you know, little things like that you know, little things like that make you think like, oh freak. This whole parenting cycle and this whole raising a kid in a Tongan way is sometimes they don't mean to be controlling, but it's just things they say that kind of make you feel, you know, they automatically make you feel like you can't speak up or you can't. And so I played the other half with my old shoes and stuff like that. And after the game, I did feel relief that I was able to express it. But when I think about back now, it's more like I can't believe I had to like fully cry, and it wasn't just a simple process like say, nah, Dad, I don't want to wear it. It's my foot sore. I'm gonna change it into the other one. Like, you know, it's such a simple thing. But we make it into such a big such a big issue because you don't want to hurt their feelings, or you want to be disrespectful or show that you're ungrateful for what they've given. And I feel like those little things like that eventually come into like the big things, the life decisions and stuff like that. You know, it's same scenario, but it's a bigger life decision. Is we live in, as I said, I live in the country. My wife is from Brisbane. If you probably know what Brisbane is, it's a different state, and her family's there. And we've had this plan of moving to Brisbane, and you know, and it's been a conflict with me and my wife because I can't speak to my parents about it. And the reason why I can't speak to about it because Mom's had these dreams of like all our siblings getting all houses like just, you know, around the corner from each other, and we're gonna grow up. Our kids are gonna grow up all together. And she's ever since I started my university, and you know, before I got a proper job and stuff, that was the thing that was always installed in me. And it was like, you know, you're the eldest, you're the one that you know, your brother and your sisters and stuff. And Mom's always installed like this thought that like we're all gonna grow, we're always gonna be together as a family unit. And I guess that's always been within me. And so when my wife started telling me that she wanted to move to Brisbane because her family and her mom's getting sick and stuff, it always became a conflict to me because in my head I was like, no, my plan is already sorted. Which it wasn't my plan, it was Mom's plan, but it's been installed in me. And so like it got to a point where like me and my wife were pretty, you know, having pretty bad arguments and stuff about the whole moving and stuff, because she was telling me like, speak to your parents. And the way I interpreted it was like, you know, like, you know, I know my parents when the time is, because the reality is I do want to move. But the reality is I didn't have the guts to speak to them. And it wasn't that I was scared of them. It was more that I didn't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to hurt them. I didn't want to shatter this whole dream that mom had. And so like eventually, literally like 2 months ago, I finally spoke to them. And when I spoke to them, man, that guilt I had and that feeling, you know, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I thought I was like the eldest and I had this responsibility, and I feel like I'm going away from my responsibility. And then after speaking to them,
how did she take it? How did she take it?
Oh, she did not take it well. My dad took it pretty well. He, you know, he was, I guess, because dad has been in my shoes before. You know, he had to move away from his family to find a better life for us, and then he was able to support his family back in Tonga. And so he was really supportive. Mom, she just broke down. She just broke down, and it's not so much what she says, but it's just, I guess, because I know the woman so well, I can just look in her eyes and I can tell that she's heartbroken. And so like now, whenever, you know, my kids say, because my kids are innocent and stuff, you know, they'll say stuff like, oh, Nana, I'm going to miss you when we go to Brisbane, or they talk about Brisbane, like it just stabs my mom in the heart, you know, and it makes me feel, it hurts me, but at the same time, now I'm able to think to myself and be like, you know, this is what I want, you know, and then I'm not disrespecting you. I'm not, you know, that was your dream and that was your goals, but that's not my goals for me. And so I think she's still trying to process it. But I think the reason why, because we're planning to move like end of next year. Yeah. And I think the reason why my wife was always down my throat trying to tell me to say it was like, so she has all this time to kind of process it. And
to process it,
you know, But whereas me, honestly, because I thought I knew my parents, my deal was going to be like the last moment before we moved the next month. I'll be like, okay, we're leaving it. Which I look back now, I think that would have been really bad. So
that would have been worse.
Yeah, that actually would have been worse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think not being able to speak up. You know, if there's any advice that I can tell like the young Tongans and the young Islanders now is, you know, if you're important too, you know, and you don't have, despite what your parents say about being disrespectful and expressing how you feel, it's not, that's just the way they were brought up and that's the way they think. But it's really important for you to express how you feel. And I think it's something that when you first do it, it's hard. But as you keep doing it, it actually, that's where the cycle can break, because that's where it creates like a good relationship between you and your parents, where you're able to speak up, you know, and you're able to talk. Like I said, when I was growing up and I was in my late high school days, I made some pretty bad decisions and like doing some stupid stuff that I would never dream of my kids doing as they're growing up. But I think a lot of that had to do because I didn't have a open relationship with my parents, you know?
Yeah.
I couldn't, there were certain things I couldn't talk about, or there were certain things I couldn't speak about to them, or how I was feeling or anything like that, you know, relationship or alcohol and all that kind of stuff. And it's because you don't have that skill to speak about it without any, you know, overwhelming emotions behind it. So that's that's me, bro.
No, it's funny. I have a lot of friends. You know, everything we talked about was real, and everything we talked about, like I've gone that, but you know, my own family growing up as well. And for me, you know, for growing up in here in America, and then you know, I have a lot of Tongan friends and family. I think the two biggest issues that I see why a lot of us struggle, especially the younger kids, is number one, you know, our parents forcing their goals and dreams upon us. I see that a lot. I see that, you know, the parents choose everything for them. They choose the school they go. They choose the career they go into, the job they go into. They literally, you know, they literally like choose everything for their life, and they don't allow the kids to make their own choices. And of course, you know, one thing about us at the Kauleka, you know, as kids, like we love our parents, man. Right? You know, and that's one thing about the Tongans. You know, we have, you know, we're loving people, man. We have so much ofa. You know, that's what we're known for as well in the world. But I just see that a lot, you know. I see a lot of friends of my friends doing, living that life that their parents want them to live, and not necessarily not living what they want to do. Especially, they're not allowed to go outside,
Yeah.
So they're not allowed to go and socialize. They're not allowed to go to have fun with their friends and go to concerts or just having a good time.
Yeah.
They're told to stay home and they just get depressed, man. They get depressed, and a lot of times, like I said, they're not hola me api.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not hola me api, and they'll go try try drinking and try doing drugs.
Yeah,
not because
they do things the wrong way.
Yeah, not because that's what they want to do. It's just because they've been kept inside for so long, and they, like you said, being bottled up, eh?
Yeah.
And they need to let go and the outlet. So, and that's one thing I see a lot. It happens all the time, and I think that what you said was good, man. Like you gotta, don't be afraid to speak up and do what's good for you, and do what's best for you. And it's funny. I was doing a podcast yesterday with another Tongan. His name is Alfred from Colorado. He talked about his own struggle of what he went through, and then he shared it. He shared what you shared. Like, he finally spoke up to his parents.
Yeah.
The one thing he talked about and he shared with the audience, he said, "You know what? I know it's hard. I know it's difficult to speak up to your parents, but he said that a lot of times as kids we feel like that if we speak up, we're afraid that they're gonna die. They're gonna hit us, or they're afraid we're gonna get disciplined, or we think the worst thing is gonna happen if we say something." But he said that a lot of times for his parents, when he spoke up, his parents were actually understanding, and they were cool about it, right? So he said that you never know how your parents are going to react until you say it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like you said, they've been conditioned to treat you that way. Because that's how they were raised.
That's how they were.
So sometimes we grow up as kids, we feel like our parents are too tough or too hardcore, or they don't care. It's not because they don't care, or they don't care about your opinion, or they don't care. They don't want to know about. They don't care about.
That's all they know is.
Yeah. So a lot of times we grow up thinking that, our parents don't care about what we think. No, I think our parents. There's a lot of parents out there that really, really do care about what you think, but they've been taught not to have that relationship with their kid.
Yeah.
Because that's how that's how they grew up with their relationship with their own parents. But you'd be surprised. But you'd be surprised if you actually speak up. There's sometimes either, like you say, either your dad or your mom will support you.
Yeah.
One of them will support you.
That's true. Yeah. That's exactly how, when I spoke up, Dad's reaction, because I thought Dad was gonna, not that he was gonna get angry, but I actually thought he was gonna be more hurt, and because my dad's, he's a really hard worker, and I've gone through my last years of high school as a international student. I don't know in the States if they pay school fees and stuff, but here in Australia and New Zealand, you got to pay for education. For even high school and all the schools. And so my last 3 years of high school, I was an international student, so my fees were way expensive than, because I wasn't a citizen of New Zealand.
Yeah.
And then when I came to Australia, my first 2 years of my degree was international rate. So Dad was, he was working just to educate me. And so he's never once ever said to me that, I work hard for you to get this life, and you treat me he's never once brought that up. I think the word in Tongan is tō. They say oh, I've done this for you, so you need to do this to me. They've never once said that to me. But it's not only that, but it's when me growing up and looking at my parents, the way they live, sometimes I think to myself oh, my parents could have had such a better life if they didn't spend all that money on me for my education. And so that automatically builds this guilt within me that I have to listen, I have to do what they need, because if it wasn't for me, they would have probably had a better life. And so I was thinking that when I was going to tell Mom and Dad that we're going to move, I thought Dad was going to react in a way where it's going to be man, I work all these years and I had this dream for you, and you just turned around and want to pick up and leave. And but when I talked to him, and I was really caught off guard by his reaction, and I was like, oh wow, like it was actually supportive. So yeah, you're right. Sometimes I guess you would never know until you speak up.
Yeah,
what the reaction is gonna be.
Yeah.
And but sometimes the parents don't even know that you have those feelings.
Yeah.
You speak up, and they're like, what? Penny mal don't give you a big one.
It's just everybody's assuming.
Yeah.
Everybody's assuming, but nobody's, because
exactly.
There's no communication.
It goes back to that communication skills that we lack.
Yeah. Our parents think we're all right, and then we think our parents. But so you just gotta. That's one thing I want to share with audience. Like, look, no matter how hardcore your mom is, no matter how tough your dad is, just speak up, because you never know. You never know until you ask how they're gonna react, and then based on their reaction, then you can figure it out. But one thing I know, our parents, once they know that's how you are, that's how you think, and that's how you feel, even though they may take some time to process it, like your mom.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I mean, they may react in the way they thought you, or they may react in the way you. But once that's finished, at least they know what's in your heart.
They know what's in your heart, in your mind, and they love you too, just as much as you love them. But at least they know, okay, this is how my son and my daughter really feels, and then you can take it from there. But if you don't say anything, then
it's never gonna.
That's gonna happen. So that's I see that a lot, and just like you said, living the kids living the life that the parents want, and it's really, really hard to do. And then by the time they don't actually start living their life until they get older.
Yeah, that's true.
And what's sad for me, what really saddens me is when I see a lot of my friends, and I see a lot of young Tongans and young Polynesians that have so much potential. Some of them have the minds to be a doctor, have to be a lawyer, to be a therapist, whatever, be a therapist, to go into, like, whatever they want to do, to be a singer, to go to Hollywood, to be an actor. But then they hold it back because they feel like that. If they choose themselves, it's selfish.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how we're raised. If we do something for ourselves and not follow our parents, you're selfish. Okay, offer that offer. Man, that's one of the things I hate. When I heard a lot is when I started doing things for myself, when I was that's one thing my family will always tell me. Oh, see, tamasi that offer. Talo ngahi ko ke leka ngahi ngahi ko papanga ko but I fulahi pe ngalo tupuanga ngalo I was like, no, just like, damn,
nah, that's not the case, man.
Bro, I love you guys, man. I will never forget Masiva. I'll never forget where I come from. But for me, I have to do me, man. If I'm gonna be better, if I'm gonna live a better life, and not only because I want to help you guys, I have to be free to do my thing, to do my thing. And a lot of times I just felt so guilty, and I even question myself sometimes. Like, even when I was doing pursuing my own path and my own life to be successful, but sometimes I'll question myself, like, am I doing what am I doing? Is it right? Am I wrong? Is this the right path? Is this the right way? Am I going to go to hell?
Yeah, exactly.
So I start all these negative feelings and questions. It's just because we've been instilled that that their way is always the right way.
It's the right way, yeah.
And then and like you said in your story, when when you shared about your dad giving you the cleats for your football, for your rugby cleats, even though you expressed to him a valid point, would you?
Yeah.
You were right. Your feet was hurting.
Yeah.
But we just learned to accept the right and the wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This is one thing I see, that a lot, because of the way we accept things, and we become submissive to just accept what things as they are.
Exactly. Yeah.
I see this a lot of Tongans, when they go into situations where it's wrong.
Yeah.
And like, especially when it comes to violence at home, especially when they see bad things at home.
Yeah, it's just
they don't say anything and they just accept it. And I have a lot of friends at Tupuak, a lot of friends that being abused, beaten at home, and because of the way we brought up, we can't speak against our parents. Everything our parents say is right, is always right. And then there was friends. I have friends that I grew up with that I never knew that these things were happening at home.
Yeah.
You know, I thought everything was good. I go to their house, not everything was good. Yeah. But then later down the line, then they finally come out. Hey, man, no, I was abused. You know, I was abused by my mom, by my parents, or by a family member, and it was just sad to see. And there was a lot of violence going on, but nobody wants to say anything, and or even go to the police because we feel guilty.
Yeah.